So the number one reason for most people when they can't manifest anything is because they can't constantly keep themselves into a flow state through life, I'm saying. And today we're going to talk about this, if you're an introvert or an extrovert, and how to go about this. You want to be in a constant flow state. Let me zoom in a bit. So you want to manifest in a flow state. This flow state is a constant vibration that keeps attracting the things you focus on. But before we find out how to do that properly, we need to find out what manifesting is not and when it doesn't happen. So first of all, manifesting requires a constant state of mind, right? A state of mind. And we're going to call it a positive state of mind. This is a positive state, all right? Positive state. There we go. State of mind. I'm going to underline mind because if you're in a constant positive state of mind, you can induce the feelings in your heart because the heart is the one that creates the feelings for you to attract what you want. Now, the common problem with achieving a positive state of mind is that the conscious mind oftentimes tends to forget the things it focuses on during the day. So the way you should use your will is to constantly focus on the things you want and to maintain this positive state of mind. Until you can't achieve this, you'll not be able to manifest. But there are some nuances on this if you want to attract to you what you want, and those nuances we're going to talk about in today's video. So again, you can't achieve anything if you're in a negative state of mind, with other words, right? So the common problem with manifesting and trying to get something you don't have is a negative state and your ego. Let's write these down. Let me actually write this black. Okay, so you have a negative state of mind and you have your ego. These are the common enemies of manifesting. You have the two enemies, the negative state of mind and your ego. So the problem with achieving a state of mind, a positive state of mind, when you have a negative state of mind and your ego, is inertia, and that is psychological inertia. It pulls you back, right? So you have the psychological inertia, all of these two. So the psychological inertia is your biggest problem you currently have in your life if you want to change anything into better, into achieving, to be more precise, a positive state of mind. So without getting rid of this psychological inertia, and that is you dig slowly. How you dig slowly? The way you actually start to change to get away of the inertia is with small incremental changes like that. And here is your manifesting, okay? Along the way are your attempts to get away from the inertia. Sometimes it can pull you back in, but you will all the time tend to come back on the course. And with small incremental improvements of having a positive state of mind, that is, you will achieve your goal. This is a plus, not an X. This is your attempt to think positively and your attempts of getting away of the psychological inertia. What psychological inertia is, your habits and your state of mind. Remember, state of mind, not necessarily positive. It can be even neutral and you still will not be able to attract the things you want. So in order for you to achieve a positive state of mind, to become a seed, that is, a seed. This is very important for you to understand. A seed of abundance. A seed will always attract to it whatever it needs. So remember that you will need to become a seed, a metaphorical seed, of course, but you know what I mean. So you have a positive state of mind. Your psychological inertia will keep you back down. So the psychological inertia is comprised of a negative state of mind and your ego. How your ego can stand in a way when you try to manifest something is by dragging you down and making you impatient when the things are dragging you down. Remember here? Let me sit here so you can clearly see it, like that. So this is your ego. Ego wants to straighten things up. It wants to rush things. It wants to jump from here to there. But it has a difficult perspective to take when it tries to understand the psychological inertia, because this is mostly unconscious. Remember, this is the biggest problem. You can't see it. When you can't see it, you can't understand it. Unconscious, okay? So this is mostly unconscious, the psychological inertia. You can't see it, therefore you can't comprehend it. And when you can't comprehend it, what it does, it creates a feedback loop. I can't draw here anymore, but for now you understand verbally. It creates a feedback loop and it stops you from getting what you want. And precisely by creating a state of mind that's not leading to growth. And that is a spiral dynamic that's oriented upwards. That is, it vibrates with a high velocity, right? Here is the a basic thingy. You have 0.5 hertz. Let's say the delta state, and then you have the beta, the high vibration here. Let's say 18 plus, and it's going up. So you have a higher vibration here than here. And this is what a state of mind is. You are in a flow state all the time. Remember, you're in flow. Forget these numbers. Just know the vibration, right? The plus is a continuous vibration. It vibrates at a higher frequency than the low vibration. That is your negative state of mind, which is your biggest enemy. So now that we know the psychological inertia is mostly unconscious, what we do is to get rid of our ego. When we can't see results, we gotta be patient, which is part of what we have to do now. In a second, I'll show you how to do it. So patience, okay? So the ego doesn't like to be patient. It doesn't believe in patience. It wants things now. Remember when you had something like, I want it now and I'll spend my money, I'll waste my money and I'll get that thing. And you'll get it. You've manifested it. But on the other side, what you did is to take from other side. That's not how it works, and that shouldn't be done like that. And what you should do in that case, you should prepare the ground and actually be prepared. Of course, not waiting for the perfect moment, because it's never gonna be, but still not be immature to take it from here and move it here. It's not gonna help. You don't create. You just play with the same balls over and over again. Nothing new comes up, right? So be patient in a state of mind, a positive state of mind, so you can become the seed and attract to you what you want. So we now know that the ego doesn't like patience, and this creates your psychological inertia, which is unconscious. Okay, next. A negative state of mind comes from a lack of proof and mostly your intake. What do you expose your mind? Do you read? Do you listen to audiobooks? Do you actually watch bad news or good news? Do you actually create content by using your creative intelligence so you can actually teach others? Are you trying to understand things on your own or something, you know? How do you go to the gym with your mind? How do you actually practice thinking, reflecting, contemplating, and coming up with new creative ideas? How do you actually do that? Because you don't do it. If you don't do it, of course, you're in a negative state of mind, and perhaps you are probably one of those people who consider themselves unlucky. But that's not the case. Behold, I'll show you what to do. In a second, I'll make it simple and clear for you as possible, so you can actually know what to do when the rubber meets the road. Because I'm telling you, it's very simple. It's just in a state of mind, a continuous state of mind where you hold your goal before you despite what reality shows you. It's very, very simple. You will see. And you will slowly get away from the psychological inertia, because we are not aiming for the top. This is the top, right? We don't want the, let's say, the riches and the billions. No, we're trying to, first of all, getting rid of the ego and achieving a positive state of mind. That's how you do it. One thing at a time. Until you can't master these things, you can't really understand how reality creation works and all that. Because it's basically vibration. And if you don't obey the laws of nature and the laws of the universe, you gotta consider yourself unfortunate. And you do not want that. So if we want to manifest in flow, we need an objective within the range of possibility. That is, how much can you believe in yourself and in your technical ability? So manifesting in flow happens when you choose a goal that's within your range of possibility, that's actually believable, that you believe in yourself, you can actually get it, and you have technical ability to achieve it, to get it, to perform it. There we go, like that. So you choose something within the range of possibility, so you can actually get used to being in a state of mind, in a positive state of mind. Now, what happens when we have a goal that we can't really see how we're gonna get it? So here is the trick, what you have to know about this. A seed doesn't know how it's gonna get food or water or nutrients, whatever, when it's in the soil. A baby doesn't know if he's gonna live or not. He just trusts the universe. There are so many things we don't see how, and yet they happen, right? Let me give you a clue to how the how is happening. Have you heard about the laws? Laws, correct, good. So the first law is the law of vibration. The second law is the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Being a seed makes you a magnet. You don't really have to see the how if you are a seed. Don't ask me why, it's just the universe we work in. The reason you fail to materialize is you have a negative state of mind. It goes up and down, it fluctuates. You just have to be a seed. A seed always stays the same. It has the same vibration. It doesn't change. This is what you have to do, basically. You become fixed on something. And you achieve that because you focus on it and you grow towards it. That's what a seed does. And this is what you have to do. So when you do this, the how is of a lesser importance unless you fail to have belief in the process. That is, you focus on the how and you expect it with so much, let me try to make it happen, instead of let's just wait a bit and let me do my thing until something comes up and shows me that that's what I should do. So it's all the time you gotta keep your eyes out, because the universe is giving you signs. Right, bro, you want this? Well, okay, here's what you have to do. Get it. This is what you gotta do. You want more money to get a house? Cool. Start this business. But you gotta start something. you gotta do something. You will obviously do it because you go in the direction of what you have in mind. That's what a seed does. It has in mind, in the constitution, the very goal of what's gonna become. And this is what you gotta do. This is your job. This is your task. Okay, based on the laws, now you understand how the how works. The next question is, how do we achieve a flow state? Let's say you are an introvert or an extrovert. An introvert is the person who is closed in themselves and they like solitude. They don't like to go out with people. They don't like to party. They spend most of the time alone and so on. While an extrovert is an outgoing person, somebody who likes parties, who all the time has something in mind, something to do, all the time in action. How can they manifest? How can they achieve a state of mind when they work differently? Let's see how that's done. So we have the introvert and the extrovert. Let's say you're an introvert or an extrovert. Doesn't matter, because you're gonna see what to do and how to achieve the flow state in a second. Here is the time scale, timeline. Here, let me call these axes, the X and the Y. This is the manifestation. So you have the timeline and you have the manifestation. As an introvert, you start like this. You use your mind like this. This is your state of mind until you achieve your goal, okay? As an extrovert, you start from the same point, but just this is how you're gonna get to your goal, okay? And you will get it in the end. This is how both work, mostly do the same thing. So if flow works for the introvert, like the purple line, in a constant linear fashion, while the extrovert has up and downs, but still goes in a flow state to achieve their manifestation, their goal. How do we understand how to maintain this flow state as an introvert or as an extrovert? Let me give you an example. Andrew Tate is an extrovert person. Look how he talks. While on the other side, Elon Musk seems to be an introvert. Look how he talks. He's more softer. He likes to think things out. So let's say the blue line is Andrew Tate and the purple line is Elon Musk. Elon Musk spends more time in his head while Andrew Tate is an ongoing person. You can apply the same examples to yourself and just know it's gonna work. So to achieve this state of mind, give me 1 second. Let's see what we have to do. So to achieve this state of mind, the flow, right? Timeline and flow. This is the flow. This is very, very critical. Here we go, like that. That's the timeline and flow. In order to get you a thing, first of all, you remember what I said, you need to become a seed. This is the timeline and flow. Whichever you're gonna be, you're gonna do the exact steps I'm gonna give you. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, you're gonna apply the formula to yourself and you will see results. Or at least you will try to bring into your conscious mind your psychological inertia and work from there, depending on your stage of awareness. So, first things first, we have awareness of the laws and awareness of our goal. So once you have the awareness of your laws and your goals, here's what you have to do. Number 1, choose a definite purpose. Remember what Napoleon Hill said. Major definite purpose. Number 2, take action in a positive state of mind, expecting the best. Right, you have the positive action, expectation of the best outcome. Major definite purpose, positive action and expectation. Number 3, believe in a subjective, positive state of mind rather than facts and events outside yourself. Right, so the major definite purpose, positive action, expectation, and believing in the subjective state, not in facts, but in your attitude and the way you want to see. Remember, you want to see the world, right? So we have the 3 steps, the major steps. Of course, there is nuances we're going to talk about in a bit on how to use based on where you are, an introvert or an extrovert. Of course, there are nuances to this if you're an introvert or an extrovert, but that's fine. So let's talk about the major definite purpose a bit. Right, here's what we have to do if we want to achieve something we want. Remember, choose something within the range of possibility. That is, you can see how to make it happen for now, because this is going to show you, give you more confidence on how to get into that wheel, to get away from the psychological inertia, that is, to make you believe it's possible. So you have your major definite purpose. Choose about 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, or even 8 things you want out of yourself and out of life within the range of possibility. Like, let me give you an example. You want a new phone, a new laptop, a new camera, a new motorbike, anything you see within the range of possibility, and about what you can sell to make it happen, to bring it into your life. You can create a course, you can sell more products, you can work overtime, you can, depending on your range of possibility. But that is, you got to train the psychological part of the mind to become a seed. That is, you train yourself to become a magnet for each desire. Until you do this, it's not going to work. So you have your definite major purpose. Here's what you have to do. Number one, and I'm taking these notes from a small little book. I think you know about it. Right, the major definite purpose. This book right here, let me see if you can see it. All right, it works. It has 3 definite rules of accomplishment of any desire you want. I'll just read them to the camera. Right. Okay, here is the plan. Here's what you have to do. Remember how this works, brother. The plan. Write down on paper, in order of their importance, the things and conditions you really want. Do not be afraid of wanting too much. Go the limit in writing down your wants. Change the list daily, adding to or taking from it until you have it about right. Do not be discouraged on account of changes, as this is natural. There will always be changes and additions with accomplishments and increasing desires. Now, 3 positive rules of accomplishment. Number 1, read the list of what you want 3 times each day, morning, noon, and night. Number 2, think of what you want as often as possible. Number 3, do not talk to anyone about your plan except to the great power within you, which will unfold to your objective mind the method of accomplishment. And it also says, it's obvious that you cannot acquire faith at the start. Some of your desires, from all practical reasoning, may seem positively unattainable. But, nevertheless, write them down on your list in their proper place of importance to you. There is no need to analyze how this power within you is going to accomplish your desires. Such a procedure is as unnecessary as trying to figure out why a grain of corn placed in fertile soil shoots up a green stalk, blossoms, and produces an ear of corn containing hundreds of grains, each capable of doing what the one grain did. If you will follow this definite plan and carry out the 3 simple rules, the method of accomplishment will unfold quite as mysteriously as the ear of corn appears on the stalk, and in most cases much sooner than you expect. Right, so there you have it. So this is what you have to do. You have your major definite purpose and you follow the 3 simple rules I gave you just now. But make sure you hold it constantly in your mind. That is, whatever you do it through this lens. Yo, this thing is gonna help me achieve X, Y. No matter where you are. If you're an introvert or an extrovert, the same applies. It just varies in the intensity to which you give your thoughts energy to this, your attention and your focus. You'll either give it too much or not enough, Not enough and way too much if you're an extrovert. Or if you're an introvert, you'll just slowly keep your attention steady on the goal and eventually achieve it. But you will nonetheless achieve your manifestation. You will be able to manifest because it's nothing out of place manifesting. It's just obeying the laws and becoming yourself a seed. This is how you attract. This is the universe we work in, right? You know when you don't like something because you know it is there. You know it doesn't resonate with you. That's simple. You got to be in a positive state of mind. That's how you become a seed. And being a seed puts you in flow. But you need to maintain a constant positive state of mind. So regardless of the timeline, keep yourself in flow by having a major definite purpose, by having a positive action and expectation in the same time that everything you do, that is basically belief in a nutshell, everything you do is going to turn out fine. Even if you have course deviations, you will still be on track. And number 3, believe in the subjective, not facts. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So have a positive action expectation all the time. Here's what you have to do. How to achieve this. You achieve this through meditation. Right, let me do this like that. I gave you here the list with the 3 things. Right, so the way you act on number 2, you always expect yourself to the best possible outcome and you expect yourself to see signs that the universe wants you to work towards because you are now a seed. So when you have a failure, don't even think about this as a failure. No, that is just a course correct. So the universe is trying to give you an upward course. You will have to obey in a way because it's going to resonate. You will see that you've been struggling on a thing for so long and you see it fail. That's because you are not in a positive state of mind when you do it. Because you will see there is growth. You constantly have a positive action and expectation. And your state of mind is always expecting the best. And when you expect the best, you tend to do your best actions. And people can feel it. And even the universe can feel it. Because it's something you like. It's something you really want. Because when it's something you really want, then bro, you become a seed. That's how you do it, right? You're in a positive state of mind, especially when it's something you want. Now, how do we deal with the things we don't want to do, we don't like to do, but we still have to do it? So for example, working on a job or going to the gym. How do we do it? Well, first of all, what's the payoff? What do you get out of that? Remember, that's the thing. That's why you're there, right? You have your goals. Remember, all the time, have a major definite purpose. Your job is your business. Start from there. Your business is your job. You understand what I mean? Major definite purpose. Why do you go to the gym? Why don't you like it? Why do you have to brush your teeth? You have a major definite purpose. Even if it's psychological inertia behind it, you still have it. So make sure you bring it into your awareness and make use of the laws by using your goals to obey the laws and become a seed. By having, first of all, start with the 3 rules I gave you. You create awareness of the laws and you shoot within the range of possibility. And then you do your best because it's something you want and you like, and everything now becomes an adventure. If you hate your job or hate your business, or if you hate going to the gym, who's to blame? There is nobody to blame. As Wallace D. Watts said, bro, change the meaning of what you do and you will see a positive change. Even if you don't like it, it's going to help you achieve major definite purpose and it's going to help you achieve the goals on your list. Doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. There is always way for more, even if you have so seemingly unsurmountable obstacles. So number 2, I hope it's clear for you now. Positive action and expectation. The common thesis of this point, number 2, positive action and expectation, is that you will need to turn failure in an indicator and nothing more. This is the ultimate awareness that leads to self-mastery. That is the ability to notice events and facts despite of how bad or good, but rather wise or not wise, without being involved personally and just noticing for what they are. As this is the mastery you want to achieve when you become a seed. Nothing is good or bad, you know. There are days where you have rain. There are days where it's drought. You gotta adapt. You keep the water from yesterday to survive today. Remember the range of possibility. There is so much more to the universe and how it works, bro. But right. So 2, positive expectation and action. This is required. Remember, turn negative into positive. Filter, change the meaning. That's how you change the story about yourself, the story about the events you have in your life. And this ties up nicely with belief in subjective, not facts. And I said, why? Because you now change the meaning. And when you change positive into negative, the minus becomes plus. Because you changed the meaning, right? So number 2, in conclusion, is changing the meaning of what others would consider negative. Now, next, let's see, because I think this is the most important thing you will understand when it comes to manifesting. Believe in subjective, not facts. I said why? Because you can change their meaning. So believing in subjective, not facts. Let me give you an example of how this works. So you have your major definite purpose. But the way this major definite purpose comes into being is because you believed in facts. Let me give you an example. Have you ever had an experience when you said, I've had enough. I literally had enough. I'm not going to have this again. I'm not going to allow this to happen to me anymore. I'm going to change it. And I'm going to have only the best equipment or the best motorcycle or the best of anything. And there you have it. You have it. Like, for example, you have something in your life, like, for example, food or something, or moving to a new location or something, you know, like I did. But it was the point of transition where you said, yo, hang on a second. I'm not going to allow this anymore. And that became your major definite purpose. So you had the shock or trauma, which of course is part of the inertia and the negative state of mind, but it goes more complex. Maybe we have some time to expand on that, but it's very worth it to know it, right? So the facts became your major definite purpose. And what you actually did when your facts became your major definite purpose, you actually transmuted negative energy into a positive state of mind. Hey, I don't like this, I want this and nothing else. When you trade like this with yourself, you will be astounded of how capable you are, right? The range of possibility. I said here technical ability and how much you believe in yourself. Let me write them down. So when you said you've had enough, your technical ability and your self-belief, actually what they did was to make you jump over to the next level without going through the loop, right? You've saved this much time and action and failures and all that. I f***ed up the whole drawing, but it's fine. So when you said you've had enough, that became your major definite purpose, and linked to number 3, you managed to believe in a subjective state. Do you know how powerful this is? Do you know what this means? This is what you have to do in order to become a full and complete seed. You have to want something so badly that you will not trade anything else for it. You will settle for nothing less. You will have the best standards. That is, the standard becomes your desires by following the 3 rules. Remember the list of desires as it was in the book? Nice. So you now believe in a subjective state. Here's what I mean by that. You now believe in a subjective state. Something tells me I should underline this and I'll do it. I'll make it so nicely, the straighter I can. Nicely. Right. So you believe now in a subjective state when you said, I've had enough. I don't want anything else. Right. If you're an introvert, when you say, holy crap, I've had enough, let me change, you start by going slowly. When an extrovert says, I've had enough, and he bounces away from the thing he doesn't want, and he comes back again, and out away from the thing, and back again to the thing. But the introvert, the way he makes use of the laws on the timeline is that he keeps what he doesn't want as fuel to project himself across the timeline, maintaining a state of flow to actually get the thing he actually wants. On the other side, the introvert, I've just explained how it works. Now, let's say we have a thing that not necessarily made us say, I've had enough. What do we do in that case? Let's say we are peaceful human beings. We actually want a better degree of life. We want a higher energy, more abundance, more of riches, more of whatever you want to have, because that's what manifesting is in a nutshell. Not for me, but still, let's adapt things to how the common ground is laid. Let's say we start by having the rules without having the facts. We still have to believe in a subjective state. It doesn't necessarily make us believe that we turn anything negative into a positive. It means, in fact, that we actually become positive ourselves. Like we simply like the desire so much. There's no any negative stimuli, and we simply want to transcend the current reality we now experience. How do we do it? How do we believe in a subjective state of mind? First of all, is the rule number 2. So the rule number 2 says, think of what you want as often as possible. We thus believe in a subjective state. The rule 2. This is for the introvert style. Rule number 2. Rule number 1 said, read the list of what you want 3 times each day. This is for the extrovert, who has the mind all over the place, but he wants to achieve. They both do the same thing, remember. It's crazy how it works, but it does. That's why the name. They make you aware of the laws and your goal. So the way the conscious mind is, it plants that seed in your subconscious mind. That is your fertile soil that brings everything you want into your existence, into your reality. So we have the timeline. And the more you start projecting onto the things by following the rules you have, the more you will get away from the psychological inertia. That is your belief systems, your trauma, your ego, and your negative state of mind. You'll get away of them. Right. The reason I want to stress a point here 3 times a day. Your subconscious mind is most susceptible to suggestion before you go to sleep and as soon as you wake up. So that's very important to know. So have your list of desires and follow the 3 rules, even if you are an introvert or an extrovert, and you will see massive results, right? Because you become a seed. You have a positive state of mind, or even a state of mind, a fixated state of mind. That's why over the time it's very important to maintain your consistency as in that subjective state I'm talking about. The believe in a subjective state and not facts. So don't let facts make you choose what you want by not liking the current facts or events, but choose something consciously, something you like, and believe wholeheartedly in a subjective ability. That is, you don't look outside yourself, you just look at within yourself and trust the laws and go through life with that state of mind, a never wavering perception of the laws and the way you conduct yourself through the world by knowing these laws. A final point I want to make here is about visualization. How do we work with it? How do we apply it? Let me talk about visualization. Benefit 1, benefit 2. So the first benefit, it turns you away from the negative. And number 2, it creates positive vibration. This is what visualization does, right? Creates a positive vibration in your heart. In your heart. Here we go. Just like that. Okay? And these are the outside conditions. They all minus, minus, minus. It can be negative, but as long as you have your vision, as you visualize, and you measure definite purpose, the outside cannot come into your heart as long as you visualize and you actually turn away from the negative while you do it in the same time. But the major drawback is that it's too far-fetched. It makes it hard for you to believe what you visualize when you can't see how and you don't believe in yourself, right? Because this is the how, remember, right? We have the how here. This is the how, and this is your self-belief or your self-image. We're going to talk about that in a future video, right? So you have your negative state of mind. Okay. The way we go over this drawback by having something we don't believe, we actually choose something within the range of possibility. So we can actually compound that technical ability and self-belief. We need to see how in order to believe, but you will need to keep your belief and believe most of all in a subjective state, and also believe that everything you do, positive action and expectation, gets you to the manifestation. On point number 3, in order to be in a constant subjective state of mind, you will need to have a lower brain frequency. You must believe less in the outside and believe more in yourself. Be more self-centered. And I have an antidote to this, and it's called meditation. Whoa, look, I know you've been hearing about this, but there is something to it, and you might want to do as I suggest if you want to see some results. So meditation helps the positive state. You will need to understand this. Why does meditation, besides the fact that you visualize and you turn away from the negative and you create a heart-brain coherence, as Joe Dispenza said, you actually meditate to maintain a lower brain frequency vibration. And this is very crucial. Let me put the light on. I want more light. I think you can see it, can you? So meditation helps the positive state. You will need to understand this is very crucial. If you don't meditate, you should start. You should. You don't have to, but you should. Who doesn't have to meditate? The extrovert. Out there, he's all the time in motion. He doesn't have a moment to sit down and actually contemplate and visualize. No, he works by pictures. He all the time looks on the phone and actually watches cars and boats and floods and content and actually implements on the go. He doesn't stay too much in one position. All the time is in a constant flow, especially when he has something to go for. So if you're an extrovert, don't meditate. This is not for you. But what you have to do instead is just follow the 3 rules, and especially the rule number 1, that is read your desires 3 times a day. I'll make some videos on how to do that as well. That is with some scripting that actually properly works. Okay, so we believe in the subjective. It's just how we believe in a subjective because of helps the positive state and lower brain frequency. And why do you need a lower brain frequency? Well, that's a topic for a different time. We're going to talk about it. There is so much to it, but just know for now that you need to meditate if you're an introvert. Right? Let me stress properly. There are people who actually can get this wrong, and I don't want that to happen. Okay? So if you're an introvert, in order to have a subjective state all the time, that is to be in flow, right? Let me stress, because this is the mind. You will need to have a certain vibration. That is, all the time you think of the thing you want and nothing else but that thing. A lower brain frequency will help you with creativity. And what it does, basically, it changes your psychological inertia. It actually helps you get to your manifestation way faster, because you can see how to bypass, short circuit the thingies from here to there. You immediately transcend because you transmute the negative, that is the obstacles of your everyday life, into a positive state of mind, and thus you become a seed, remember, right? And if you pair this with visualization at night and when you wake up, you become unstoppable. You manage to actually understand how the laws of the universe work. And if you pair this with your technical ability and your self-belief, you become unstoppable. So, a quick recap of the 2 introvert-extrovert what you have to do. As an introvert, you will have to meditate because you will have low brain frequencies and you live in a constant state of flow, in a subjective state of flow, remember, okay? Let's not make the distinction. In a subjective state of flow, we have an introvert and an extrovert, right? Meditation lowers the brain frequencies for both introvert and extrovert. But there are differences in here because the extrovert doesn't like to sit in one place. And so he has to do something still. He's rather the type that is going to say, I've had enough. And then he goes about working on it and he just goes away from the thing and he actually manifests what he wants. But I suggest if you're an extrovert, just go with rule number 1, 3 times a day. Read your thingy and also visualize a bit. Visualize in your dead times. If you have nothing else to do, just visualize. Sit down and visualize a bit. All the times, even 2 minutes is perfect. It puts you in a vibration with the thing you want. And remember, I wish I've had another whiteboard in there so I can make how a seed attracts to what he wants and what it needs actually, and how to go about the obstacles. Although I've touched a bit on these, I think it's enough for today. So manifesting in flow happens when you have a lower brain frequency. So you can actually see the creative outputs. That is, you turn the obstacles into positive things. You change the meaning, remember, from point number 2. Change the meaning. You have a positive action all the time, an expectation. So this subjective state I want to touch on verbally a bit here is basically you thinking about what you want and the ways to achieve it and the ways to provide more value. But you do it in such a way that you will only have efficient action in it. As Wallace D. Watto said, if you put power and efficiency, this is how you get it done, bro. If you put power and efficiency, right, with your positive action, there is another whole section of this. But yeah, if you have a positive action and expect the best, you will achieve the best. And as Wallace D. Watto said, yeah, power and efficiency in everything you do and you will get it. So this is the most important thing. Believe in the subjective, not facts. Facts can change, but your attitude and your mind on how you go about the things, how you respond to events, what kind of character you are, how do you conduct yourself into the world, how much do you believe in yourself, How do you treat others? It all matters. You think it's not gonna matter? It does. Don't forget about your ego and your negative states of mind. Stay away from those. They're not helpful at all. Yeah, they are. I don't want you to be delusional. There is a difference in here. You're quite rational, but you want to have a positive outlook even in the most negative circumstances. Try to see the best in everything. Doesn't matter how bad it is. Doesn't matter if it's war, if it's crime, if it's disease or anything, you know. There is something good in there. Everything is made there. It comes from truth. There is so much more to this. Don't blame me. It's just, you know, try to be an observer. Don't judge, be an observer. And if you have your positive outlook on life, many things can change for you. And this is what I ask you to do with point number 2. Change the meaning and have a positive expectation on how the things will turn out. And you will see yourself changing from day to day, right? So treat everything objectively. Everything that came into being for you came from your subjective mind. Look at me. So I'm talking, I'm freestyling. I have nothing prepared for this video, just the top of my head. And yet I managed to get it done. I'm proud of that. This is what happens when you have a definite major aim and you actually go about doing the things you like. And you can do the same. Basically, you can really do the same. I highly recommend you rewatch this video a few times if you have the time, or just to listen to the things we said in the video. And if you have your friend who's interested in metaphysics, then just make sure you share this with him, because it's gonna help. It brings into awareness the rules and the laws of how we can better play the life and get what we want out of it, and call it the destiny and not the fate. Right, Marius here, I'm done. I'll see you in the next videos, brother. Take care.